So welcome to the new question. So in this question, you have to find out a snapshot of any array. Okay. So what I'm saying is, like if you have been given an array like 0, comma 0, comma 0, comma 0, comma 0, and then this is your initial array. Okay, this is your initial array. So what we have to do is we have to find out a snapshot. Snapshot means a replica. Like if you have been given an update like 0, comma 1, comma 0, comma 0, comma 0, then you have to create a new array. Okay, but what I'm doing is we take a snapshot. When we are creating this now, we are not creating a new array. We want to take a snap of this so that this is your first snap, this is your second snap. Initially we are coming and we take a snap of this. Okay, and then what we are getting this snap. Okay, but when I'm going to change anything, like change, we are changing, then this is like what I'm saying is, again I'm explaining, like initially when we are coming at, then our first snap is 0. Means this represent a condition. This is represent a condition. Like this is your initial condition in a snap. When our snap id is 0, when our snap id is 0, okay, this will represent the initial condition like this: 0 comma 0 comma 0 comma 0 comma 0. Okay, so this is our initial snap. Okay, but when I'm performing any changes, like we update this 4, we update this 5, we update the value of this. Okay, so at this snap the value are updated, okay. So what type of value updated? So what I'm saying is, at the snap of 0, at the id of 0, when our snap id is 0, then at the index of 1, our value is 4. I am saying that thing. Okay, this is a representation of any value in this array. Okay, it means how we can say that this array is belonging from this snapshot. Okay, how we can say that? We can say that when our snap id is 0, then at the index of 1, our value is 4. Okay, so this will represent a initial condition of snapshot. Okay, so initially our snapshot id is 0. It means this is our initial stage, and when we are performing any changes, this changes will save in this initial stage. Okay, so what I'm saying is, in this stage, when our snap id is 0, then when our snap id is 0, then at 1 the value is 4, at 0 the value is 0, at 2 the value is 5, at 3 the value is 0, at 4 the value is 0. But what? At id 0, this will indexes, this is your indexes. Okay, so we can say any number. How we can call this any number? From that, like at snaps id 0, the index at index 1, the value is 4. Okay, so we access, it means the value is belonging from this id. Okay, so but what happened? But when we when you want to change, when you want to create another snapshot, what I'm saying, if you want to create another snapshot, so what you have to do? So you increase the snapshot. Okay, so when you're taking a snap now, what I'm saying is, this is your initial snap. Okay, but we update our snap. Okay, we update our snap id. When we call any snap, then we update our snap. Okay, then our snap id becomes 1. Okay, and in this snap, if you update anything, then this snap will save in this snap id. Okay, so you just update this like 0 comma 4 comma 6. Okay, so this snap, this condition of array will save in this id. Okay, this id where our snap id is 1, and in this snap, or in this condition, or snap id 0. But after update, our snap id becomes 1 and the value becomes 6. Okay, because we are performing a change at any index. Okay, so how we can call this array? We can call this array at snapshot id 1, at index 2 the value becomes 6. Okay, so this is our new snap. Okay, when you are calling snap id 1, now this array will change, this array will update it. But when we are calling snap 0, this array will come. Okay, this array will come. How we can access this? How we can perform these operations? If you create an array again and again, then it will take more complexity. Like for array.length, we are creating many type of snapshot, like 500 snapshot. Okay, so every time we are calling a snap. Okay, so it takes a more complexity, I think. Like if the length of array is 400 and your snap is 500, then you call 500 cross 400. Okay, so you take every snap. It means when you're taking any snap, when you update any number, then you take a snap. Okay, what I'm saying is, like when you update 0, then if you want to change, if you want to update this thing now, so you have to take a snap. And when you to change 4, then you take a snap. Okay, so every time when you are taking snap, in the worst case, this will take a more complexity. Okay, so how we can solve that? We can take a HashMap. we can take a hash map at every index. What I'm saying is, you understand? You understand what I'm saying? This is your array. This is your array. You take a hash map at every index. Like at 0 index, you take a hash map. At 1 index, you take a map. Okay, so you create an array of hash map. You can create array of maps. Okay, and at every position, you store the snap id and value. How we can store the snap id and value? First I'm explaining how we can store the value. Like this is your array 0 comma 0 comma 0 comma 0 comma 0, and this is initially this is belonging from snap id 0. Okay, so how we can update, like at index 0. So what we are doing is, we put of 0, we put a snap id 0 comma value is updated and 1. Okay, so we update the value at which we update the value of array idx of map. It means, 1 second, like we array idx dot map dot put id comma 1. Okay, so it means what I'm doing, at 0 index the map is presented, and in this map we are putting our id and value. Okay, what I'm saying it, at every index we are putting a map. Okay, at every index we are putting a map. So at every place we put a id and we put a value on. Okay, so at every stage our value is updated according to our id, our snap id, and also our indexes. Okay, so at every indexes our snap will presented. At every indexes our snap id will presented from hash map. Okay, so what I'm saying is, at every id, like this is your 0 id, this is our zeros index, this is your 1, this is your 2, this is your 3, this is 4th. Okay, but for everyone we create a map. In this map we store our snap id and value which we are updating, like, and in this stage our id snap id 0 and we update the value becomes 3. So when you are calling, like when you want to access any index, like if you want to access a second index, then you have to call a index also, a snap id also, then you can access our element. Okay, so what I'm saying, okay, so if you want to what I'm saying is, like this is your element 0 comma 0 comma 0 comma 0 comma 0. Okay, so initially the snap id is 0. Okay, and you update this, becomes the 2. Okay, so what we are storing, at id 0 we put a 2. Okay, at index 1, and this is your snap id, and this is your value. Okay, so when we are calling at 0 index, at 2 index, when our id is 0, then what is our value of this index? What I'm saying is, at index 2, sorry, at index 1, when our snap id 0, what is our value? We get 2, because we store this value in snap id 0. By this, at this index we put a loop, at this, so we put a map. In map we store our snap id 0 and we put a value of this which we are updating, like 2. Okay, so by this we can access any value. Okay, what if I'm not getting any value, so we go previously. Okay, so now I'm going to code this problem. So what you have to do is, we have to take a snap id which is equal to 0 initially, and we are taking hash map. We are taking hash map. Okay, so after that what we are doing, we have to put a map. Equal to new hash map length, and then what you have to do, we have to create a new hash map every time. We are creating at every index a new hash map. Okay, so that we are store the indexes, we are store the IDs. Okay, maps dot id. We store the ID so after that what we are doing is we put a map of idx dot put sid comma val. Okay, so we when we are getting our index, so we are going to put a value at particular index. Okay, so how we can take a snap, so in this we just update our id and we just return sid minus 1. Why? Because we are updating our snap after calling. Okay, we are updating our snap, so we just increase the snap and we return our current snap. Okay, but we are updating our snap for next iteration. So this is your get function. In this get function, what we have to do, we have to take a while loop and we have to take a snap id which is greater than or equal to 0. And when why we are putting this condition? When we are not getting any indexes, when we are not getting any value at particular snap id, then we are decreasing y1. Okay, and till how many decreasing we can, when we are our snap id becomes -1, then we will return 0. It means we are not getting any value, at this snap. Okay, at this snap we are not getting any value for particular index. So we are checking for particular index and we find that at this particular index like this we are not getting any value, so that we just decrease snap id. Okay, snap id, and if our snap id equal to 1, if our snap id equal to 1, then we have to return 0. Simple. And this is your while loop, and after that, so this is your get. Okay, so when we are putting in while loop, then our while loop will end it, and after that we have just return our map idx dot get. So we are going to go in the array and find out our index, and then we just find out our value at particular snap id. Okay, then we have to put snap id okay. So this is our code, I think. So but I'm going to tell you that at this stage our code is our question is not updated, so that I can't submit this question, but this code is good. This code is right, and just you just copy this code and you just understand this code, because this code is right. And after when our question is updated or on the portal, then you can just check out this question and try again. Okay, but this question is, the code is very good and the code is right, so that you just understand this code. So I'm just explaining this stage. So I have to explain this stage so that you understand. Okay, so what I'm doing is, okay. So I'm going to crop this code so that you understand. So what do you mean this code? What do you mean by this code? In this code you find out that, like, if your snap is like 0, 1, 2, 0, 0. Okay, so this is your at snap 0. This will store at a snap 0. But at snap 1, what we are updating 1, 2, 3, 0. Okay, but, and this is your indexes. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so when we are calling that at index 2, we at id 1, sorry, at index 4, at index 4, at index 4, when our id is 1, what is your value? At index 4, at id 1, what is our value? But what we have to return, we just go here and we check out that our snap id is greater than 0 or not. So what we are getting, our snap id is greater than 0. Then we are checking that, what we are checking is in our map, in our map, this idx, this idx means uh sorry, this is not index, there should be index, this index, okay, this index, at this index, like at 4, it will contain this key. It will contain this key. So we find out that it will not contain this key. Why? Because we are not updating, okay, so it will decrease, the value, okay, and it goes to here, and also it will, again it will not contain any key. Why? Because we are not updating, now, we are not putting any array, we are not putting anything, okay, so we are not updating this key, okay, so we just go. And when you are going to this snap id equal to, sorry, it will be -1, and this will be -1, then it will return the 0, okay, because this at the end the value is 0 in the previous session, okay. I have to come here, update this index, okay, also. So this is our code, okay, so this is our final code. So thank you so much for watching this video. So thanks.